Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Kat and I am a makeup bebe in that I have not been doing makeup for very long, and so I thought I would share my makeup journey with everybody on here on YouTube because that's what we do in these times of quarantine. We share our lives with everybody else. Because what else is there to do, I guess, on a down day? So for today, I thought I would just do something fun. And for my fun idea, I thought that I would do one half of my face the way that I do my makeup currently, which you be the judge on whether you think it's any better than the other half of my face, which is going to be what I used to do for my makeup all the way up until like less than a year ago. So yeah, we're gonna see how that looks. I'm gonna start off by doing this half of my face, which is going to be all of the things that I used to do, and then we'll jump on to the right half of my face, which will be all the things that I do now. You know, feel free to just fix me in the comments, let me know what I'm doing wrong, because there's a lot, I'm sure. Yeah, so let's go ahead and jump right in. The first thing that I would usually do is I would just start off with some concealer, and I would find whatever acne I had on my face and I would attempt to fix that. And especially like in high school and my early 20s, I had tons and tons of acne, and so that was always super fun. So for today, I'm just gonna start off with like a little bit of like just here or there. I don't really have too much acne left. This is actually a birthmark. I don't even know if you can see that anymore. It's not acne, it's just there, you know, living its best life. Much like this other speck that I have on my chin, which is actually a discoloration of my skin. It's just a black little speck on my chin. I've had it since, I definitely remember having it in high school, but I don't know if I had it before then. But it's just, I guess, a small section of my chin that just decided to turn itself black. I don't know if that's left over from like acne scarring, that it did something weird. I used to go to dermatologists, they didn't really know what it was either, so it's there to stay too. I do have some specks on my neck, because I do have a tendency to touch my neck a lot, so I'll just dab those out. That is all that I would do for concealer. And I would take my finger and do this to blend it out. I would not do anything with a sponge or anything else, and I would do my best to spread it all over my face so that that way it was even, so that you couldn't tell that I had put any concealer on my face. I really need to stop doing this. Like, I'm sure everybody loves seeing up my nose, but I don't think it's the best look, and I've noticed as I go through the editing, like every time that I do it for the first time, I'm like, ah, nostrils! So, you know, I need to get that under control. So I'm gonna do my best to look straightforward and still somehow know what I'm doing to my neck and my under the chin area. We'll see how that goes. I think this is like the only way that I can think of to look and see what happened under my chin without like looking up, is to give myself a quadruple chin to see if it's if it's blended, which it looks like it is. So yay. Okay, the next thing that I would do is this. So I stopped doing this after high school because I don't know if someone told me that I shouldn't do this look, or if that I just figured it out for myself that probably not the best look. But I used to, you know, because back in the day these things were a thing. I would take one of these, I don't even know what you call this, an eyeshadow sponge. And then I would take some eyeshadow, and usually, because it was high school and I knew how to choose colors correctly, I would pick one of the darkest shades. So I had one eyeshadow palette and I had been given it by my aunt. I don't know where she got it because I didn't know where makeup really came from back then, because I didn't really look for makeup in stores. So I had this one eyeshadow palette and it had like 20 different colors, all spectrums of the rainbow, but it also had at the very bottom right 3 super dark colors. There was a dark purple, a dark blue, and like a black. And I would never pick the black one because I like to have a little bit of color, but I would pick the dark purple and the dark blue, and that was it. And I would just go hard in the paint on my eyeballs. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the Fenty palette. This is the Moroccan Spice one, and on this palette we have this shade right down here, which is like a dark bluish green, I think, yeah. And that's the darkest one in this particular palette. So I'm gonna grab that and I'm gonna throw that on my eye. And we're gonna see just how awesome of a look I can create with this. I'm also not left-handed, so usually the left eye ended up looking way worse than the right. Oh wow. I just saw myself in the viewfinder. So that's... So it's gonna be beautiful. So I would smear it all over the eyelid, just like I'm doing right now. Just like that. And then what I would do to clean it up, because I knew this was not appropriate to leave my eye like that, I would take my finger and I would just do that about 20 times until it was all cleaned up. And the only reason why it still looks like there's something on there is because I rubbed my eye that hard to get it off with my fingers. So it's a little red. But then I would fluff up my eyelashes again and the completed eye look. I know it looks amazing. I'm ready to hit the town. So after that, the only other thing that I would do for my eye, and this came later, was that I would throw some mascara on, and it was always this guy right here, because I guess that was the one that appealed to me the most. And I would also only do one coat of it, and I would only put it on the top eyelash. It was as if my bottom eyelashes didn't exist. That's the completed eye look. Beautiful, aren't I? The only other thing that I would do is I would take some lip gloss, and yes, I still have this Victoria's Secret lip gloss. I've had it for many a year. It still smells sugary. It doesn't smell bad, so I'm gonna put this on. This will be fine. So all I would do is I would pick a gloss, usually a pink one. You stay on your side, gloss. There we go. This is the half from high school up until like 8 months ago. It's a classy look. It's not for everybody, but it worked for me. Ooh, I did forget one thing. I would also love using bronzer, and I didn't know how to use it very well. I didn't understand the concept of like contouring or putting things in the appropriate spots on their face, and I would use this brush for it. I still have this brush. I have literally had this brush for at least 15 years at this point. It is not soft. It is, there's nothing soft about it. It doesn't feel good on the face. But I would take some bronzer, just smash it. I would use the bronzer, I don't know if anyone remembers, it was in a container kind of like this. But instead of it being a powder on there, it would have like those little balls. There would be like all different shades of bronzer, I guess, on there. I would use that. And then I would just smoke out my cheeks with this, and my nose, and my forehead. But yeah, cheeks, nose, and forehead. I'm so sorry that I almost forgot that step. It's a critical step because I totally still did this look of the bronzer, absolutely, up until really recently. That's a great look. Okay. Alright. You'll notice very quick, very efficient, really knew what I was doing to get a fast, super sexy look using 5 products. That's a good start. Now we're gonna move into the other half of my face, which is gonna be very, very different. I have like the products lined up on my desk, and I have like this much space is the products that I used from high school. Literally, like, this much space is what I'm going to be throwing on my face now. It's certainly going to be different. I'm going to use the same eyeshadow palette for this eyeshadow look that I'm going to do. And I'm going to throw a little bit of eyeshadow primer on first. So already a major difference is that I am priming my face before I put any makeup on, because the beauty gurus told me to. And I gotta be honest, putting primer on sort of makes sense to me. I do like the effect that some primers give. I'm not a huge fan of the hydrating primers just because my face gets oily enough as it is, and so I'm not a huge fan of making it even more oily. Especially before putting on eyeshadow, I think that having an eyeshadow primer, it does make it last a little longer, and definitely like for concealing pores, like if you do any of the pore minimizing primers, I think those work really well. Alright, we're gonna jump into our eyes first, as we do. I suppose I should have tested this palette out before just jumping right in, you know, to see if it's a good palette or not. This is a bit patchy. I just stabbed myself in the eye. So clearly, even though the products might have gotten better, my technique is still shit. So, sorry about that. That is the eye look. So now that that is done, I'm going to jump into my eyebrows. Just the one, because I didn't do my other eyebrow. I think it is kind of good that I'm only doing one eyebrow, because then I have the added benefit of not having to make them even. That already solves one problem that I very typically have. Some mascara. The eye is done, so now I can move on to the face. So again, I'm going to throw on some primer, and it's just a fairly simple pore filling primer to help even out my skin, because I've got a decent amount of acne scarring and just enlarged pores, so I have fairly oily skin. This is a really weird feeling to only have lip gloss on one half of my mouth. It definitely makes it feel super weird when I'm talking and opening and closing my mouth, because it just doesn't feel right. So, we're going to start with some concealer, and I'm going to put some below my eye, take care of some of the imperfections. I'm going to put a couple dots in the back of my eye so that way I can help to even out what I threw on my eye, so that way it cleans it up a little bit. Try and cover up my black spot. I'm not a pirate, and so I'm not going to collect black spot. A+ to anyone that's that much of a pirate fan that you know what a black spot is. Blend this out. Alright, now I'm going to throw on some foundation. Am I supposed to shake this? I don't know. I think I just assume at this point that every foundation should be shaken up. I'm gonna just do barely a pump and a half, since I'm only doing half of my face. Fairly blended out. So now I'm just going to use a little bit of setting powder, just a smidge, because I do tend to get fairly dry on my under eyes, and so barely any is going on there. That's all done. Then I am going to use some blush. I was never really a big fan of blush. I just tended to stick to that super heavy bronzer, and that was about it. So now I think that a little bit of blush adds a nice touch. This is a fairly neutral blush that I'm using. It's not too crazy, so I'm just patting that into the skin, pouncing it in, if you will. Next up is some bronzer, and I just use that a little bit to contour right below the blush. This is why I like using matte bronzers for the most part, because then I can just use this as a bit of a contour, a powder contour, and so I can get away with it. But if it has sparkles in it, that would be too shiny. I also don't typically wear dangly earrings like this anymore. I tend to stick more with studs, but for nostalgia's sake. I used to, in high school and especially in like my early years of college, I thought dangly earrings were just all the rage. I think I got that from like watching tennis pros, because there was definitely a while where like on the pro circuit, the girls that would play would just have like insane looking earrings that they would play with, and I never understood why, but I was all about it, and I'm like, well, the tennis pros are doing that, and since I play racket sports, I need to look like the tennis pros. And so I wore that for whatever reason. I am going to use a flat brush to just blend that out a little bit. This is gonna look real weird on my neck. Like this half have something on it and then this half nothing. Alright. This looks so ridiculous to me already. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit of some highlight, and let's see here, do I want to go... I do like a bit of a brighter highlight on my face, but I prefer the ones that have a bit of a pinky sheen to them, or a purple sheen, and so this is one that has a bit more of a pinky sheen, because since I had blush and a pink eye going on, not the bad kind of pink eye, you know, the rose gold type of pink eye, I guess. And then I'm going to go back in with that flat brush and blend that in with the blush a little bit. Why I took it into my hair. My hair wanted to glow up too, I guess. Okay, so for my lips, I usually like to go in either with a liquid lip or, in this case, this is from ColourPop, it's a blotted lip. And so I'll go in with that first and then I'll add a gloss on top. And so I try to get rid of some of the excess product that sometimes shows up on the spongy thing at the end of whatever that is called. And I still to this day do not know how to line my lips properly. Staying within the lines that are my lip lines is a challenge. Even out! It is what it is. So now I'm just going to add a little bit of gloss. Normally I would tend to stick more in the center, but we're going to pull it all the way out this time. So she said. I mean, I don't know. I honestly just don't even know anymore what I prefer, what I don't. Last step that I would do is to throw on some setting spray, because I want this to last forever. Quick wrist workout in by fanning my face. And this is the completed look. So we have on this side amazingness, right? Just full-on awesome sauce. And then on this side we have this, which I suppose is really just me having way more products on my face and then perhaps having learned how to blend it out a little bit more and do slightly more of an intricate eye, although whether it was a nice pretty eye that I accomplished or a not very, but I don't know. You be the judge. So, old me, new me, you tell me which one you prefer. I mean, I don't know. I don't know which one I prefer. I think both of them have their flaws and could use some improvement. I will, however, speak for the old me and the efficiency of that, because this whole thing took less time than just my eyeball on my right side of my face. So there's that, I guess. But hopefully you liked this this video, you enjoyed it, it was fun. It was definitely fun for me. If you liked it, go ahead and smash that like button. If you want to, even hit subscribe. I love making ridiculous makeup videos and trying to come up with ridiculous ways to put it on and combine it with other things. So if you enjoy that, subscribe. I would love that. I would love to grow my community on here, get to know more of you. And yeah, stick around and I'll be back soon. You guys have a good one.